Good morning, folks. I hope you're doing okay. My name's Tim. Welcome back to Adventurous and Beginner Ukuleles. We're going to try doing one video a week for this half term, and I'm going to try and make each video have something for beginners and something for more adventurous players as well. I'm trying out again a slightly different setup. Apologies for the technical hitch. I'm trying out some noise cancellation on the fans in my computer because they were really bothering me. If it's making my voice sound really strange, please do let me know in the chat. I can also hear my own voice coming through the headphones. Man, don't ever get into live streaming, I tell you. Anyway, welcome to Ukulele Tutorials. I hope you've had a good half term, and whatever you're doing this morning, that you're having a good time. The song we're going to look at today is called Mad World. Now, I've been criticised in the past, or not criticised, but comments have been made that I like to play sad songs. Now, the ukulele isn't that suited to sad songs, or at least that's what most people think. It's generally seen as a sort of an instrument to bring a smile to your face. But music for me is not just about the exuberant and happy emotions. It's about emotions in general. It's about feelings, and it's about thoughts, and it's about ideas. And the music that moves me the most is often on the melancholy side, can we say. Although when I'm performing, I enjoy jumping around and singing at the top of my voice just as much as you guys do. The music that really gets me here is the sad songs. And I've chosen to do a sad song this morning. So if you don't like it, then check out one of the other videos. But that's what we're going to have a look at. This song is an unusual song because it was originally done by a band called Tears for Fears. And if you've never heard the original of this song, then I do encourage you to go and check it out. Search for Mad World, Tears for Fears. If you've only ever heard the fairly famous Jules cover from the film Donnie Darko, then you'll be a bit surprised to hear the original. It's has a disco beat, and it's certainly not the heart-wrenching ballad that you may have heard before. Do check it out, which means the song itself can be played in a huge number of different styles. So the style I've chosen to focus on is the Gary Jules ballad version. So before we go any further, let's have a listen to what we're trying to do. But please bear in mind that this is only one possible interpretation of this song.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. The tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my face, I want to drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Made to feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and right through me, look right through me. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Mad world. Mad world.
How's that? Hopefully that's a bit better. Sound is off. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. This morning has not been entirely smooth technically. Hopefully you can all hear me now. I can see a lot of messages in the chat. So hopefully I haven't brought the tone down too much with that video. That song is, it's not entirely clear what that song's about, but the song itself kind of reflects for me what's happening in the world at the moment. I'm not going to go into news because some of you may be watching this a year later, but sometimes you just got to play a song that reflects how you feel. So this one captured it for me at the moment. Don't worry, I will cheer up later. We're back again, good. So let's get our ukuleles in tune. We need to have a G on the string nearest your head, and then a C on the next one down, then an E, and then an A. G, C, E, and A. If you can tune by ear to that, that's great, but don't panic if not, because there are millions of tuners out there. Find an app on your smartphone or computer, or find an old-fashioned tuning device that they sell in music shops, and make sure your ukulele is in tune. Remember that G is an octave higher than it would normally be if you're expecting guitar kind of tuning. It's actually not the lowest string, even though normally on a stringed instrument that side would be the low strings. Okay, so we're in tune. This song then, it's a relatively simple song. The actual thing we need to play is only 4 chords. So we're going to go through those chords, and I'm going to talk through a very simple version of the song first, and then we'll have a look at some of the bits where you can take this a bit further. So let's move over to PDF transition. There we go. So the 4 chords we need are E minor, D major, G major, and an A7. Let's go through those nice and slowly. So this is the normal way of playing an E minor. Make sure my fingers are in the shot there. I would normally play an E minor with an open G, 4th fret on the C, 3rd fret on the E, 2nd fret on the A. And I'd normally use my 3rd, 2nd and 1st fingers for that. That's just how I normally play it. If you're familiar with an E minor, you're probably going to find it easiest to play it that way, or the way you normally play it. But for this song, if you're new to an E minor, I might suggest using your little finger, your ring finger and your 2nd finger to play the same notes. Make sure your fingers are nice and arched to come over those strings that we need to let ring. The reason I'm suggesting to play it like that is because it means that we have an easier time transitioning to 2 of the other chords. The next chord we need is a G major, and if you play the E minor like this, all you need to do is bring in your 1st finger onto the 2nd fret on the C string and then lift up the little finger. That's our G major. That is the normal way I'd play a G major. So playing your E minor with those 3 fingers allows a very quick transition to that E minor. But if you're like me, then you've probably got into the habit of playing the E minor like this. That change then becomes a little bit more involved, but perfectly possible to do. So that's our next chord, the G major. Then we're going to need a D major. This is 3 fingers in a row on the 2nd fret. So we've got 2nd fret on the high G, 2nd fret on the C, 2nd fret on the E, and then an open A string. Again, make sure your fingers are arched over those open strings. If you've got a small ukulele and big hands, if you're playing a soprano, for instance, you may find that this is a struggle to fit all of your fingers inside that fret. I can just about do it, but I've got quite small hands. If you're finding that, then it may be time to think about moving to a larger ukulele. Alternatively, you can play a D like this, all the way across with a bar on the 2nd fret, and then a little finger down on fret 5. That gets around the 3 fingers onto 1 fret conundrum. But I'm going to do that one for now. Then the last chord we need is a nice easy one. It's an A7, and it's actually only 1 finger. We've got a G, open, and then 1st fret on the C, open E, and open A. Make sure you're sitting correctly. Ukulele's flat against your tummy. If you're standing up, then you can have a ukulele strap, or you can trap it with your right arm. Your ukulele should be facing your microphone, or your audience, or your TV, or your computer, or your device, not pointing at the ceiling, because although it's easy to see what's going on, you'll have a hard time getting the chords, and you'll have a hard time strumming. We want to be strumming down towards the floor. Okay, those are our 4 chords: E minor, G, D, and A7. Slight theory digression. When we play in E minor, this is the key of E minor, that's the chord we keep coming back to. It's our home chord. So we call this song in the key of E minor. Normally, in the key of E minor, we'd expect A minor chords. That would be our natural minor chord. But in this case, we've got an A major chord. And not only an A major, an A7 extra major, if you like. That means that we're not in the E natural minor key, we're actually in the E Dorian key. We've got a minor scale that starts off minor and then has a little major top half. It has a sharpened 6th in the scale. Those of you who want to know the details, I know that Andy's been writing books about different scales. Well, Andy, this is in E Dorian for you. What it means in practice is we have an A major chord instead of an A minor chord. And it's a very characteristic sound. The famous example is What Should We Do with the Drunken Sailor? But there are literally hundreds of really well-known songs that use the Dorian mode. And this is one of them. In the pre-chorus, I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. That's the characteristic move to the Dorian chord. That one is the one we don't expect to be major. It's an A7 rather than an A minor. Theory digression ends. We're back to the ukulele. Okay. So with those 4 chords, we can play this whole song. And most of the time, we're just going to be using the E minor and the A7. So, let's have a quick run through the simple structure of the song. The intro. The finger picking part of the intro is tricky, and we'll come back to that. But the chords are easy. We're going to start with an E minor, hold it for 1 bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to move to an A7, hold that for 1 bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we do that again. So, let's give that a go. E minor and then A7, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ya da 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 da.
Let me do it again.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1.
Okay, so hopefully that change between the E minor and the A7 shouldn't be too tricky for you. The sun's just come out here, so hopefully my mood will go up. That change will get us through probably about half of the song, because it's all the way through the intro, all the way through the pre-chorus, and all the way through the chorus. So then the only other thing that's left is the verse. So the chords for the verse. Start with E minor again, our home chord. A bar of E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a bar of G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a bar of D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a bar of A7, 2, 3, 4. Fairly straightforward, but there's a few more changes involved there, so get your fingers around those changes. Nice and slow. From you can do it all in one go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and E minor, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. A7, 2. That's once more, and E minor, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. A7, 2, 3, 4. That's the chord structure for the verse. Now, we have just there covered the chord structure for the entire song. This is a straightforward, strummy chord song, if you play it as such. Let's put some of the words on top and see how those chords fit with the melody. So I'm going to play through the intro and then half of the verse and then go into the pre-chorus, just to hear how those chords fit. So here's the intro. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Da 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 da.
Then the verse.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere.
Now I'm going to move to the pre-chorus.
And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad, that the dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very...
And then the chorus, same sequence.
Mad world. Mad world.
Okay, so you can see we can get through this song really simply just by using 4 different chords. Nearly did 3 there. So how else can we strum these chords? I would suggest if you're starting out with the beginners, then just strum once per chord, just like we did there. Having a go at singing this song at the same time is probably going to be enough challenge for you without worrying about strumming extra chords. But if you're comfortable with the chord changes, then we can strum either twice per bar or 4 times per bar. We could do
all around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces.
That would be twice per bar, or we can do 4 times per bar on every beat. All around me are familiar faces. You get the idea. I would recommend, as a good medium option, to strum every beat like that. If you want to vary that slightly, I would suggest maybe doing the first part of your strum, aim for one note, maybe that low C string, and then the second beat, do a full strum. So you get this more... So make every other part of your strum full, and the first and third beats you're aiming for one note, and the second and fourth beats you're aiming for a full strum. That echoes what the piano does in the Jules version. This so that would be a really nice way of playing it. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Okay, so those would be the kind of strumming approaches to this song I would take. And later on, when we have a playthrough of this, I'll get my wife to come up and she'll probably play one of those strumming approaches, so follow along with that. But can we take this any further? There's a few other things we can put into this. One that's really effective and really not that hard to do is to use an alternative A7 chord in the pre-chorus. The tune itself of this song is really simple. It uses chord tones. It almost exclusively uses notes that are in the chord that you're playing. And particularly in the pre-chorus, the notes that I'm playing are actually all the notes of the melody. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. All those notes are in the chords that I'm playing. And so why not pick them out on the ukulele? You spotted there that instead of that A7, I used an A7 up here. On your chord sheets, that is written as the A7 star, and it is just a G shape slid up the neck by 2 frets. Quite a nice little shape to know, and it gives us that high C sharp note, the high third. This one doesn't. And that note is the one in the melody that we hear. And I find it kind of funny. So if you're playing that chord, again we can play the E minor like this, and that means the change is a little bit easier. I'm catching myself playing the normal E minor like that. I'm doing a more complicated change, but because I've played it enough, then it's fairly straightforward. But if you're finding that tough, then try playing your E minor with those 3 fingers, and then you can slide 2 of them up without leaving the strings. So that alternative A7 enables us to do a kind of... Just try that. I'm not going to put the tab up on the screen for that, because actually I think you'll find it surprisingly easy. If you do want the tab for it, then the score is available on the website. That's got the full version of all the different notes that I suggest playing. On the chord chart, I've done a little extract from it for the intro, which we'll come to in a minute. So that's the pre-chorus. Gives us a nice little variation from just endlessly strumming. I've just seen a comment from Andy about bass harmonics on the 12th fret. Does that fit? I'm hoping you've got an E minor bass, an E harmonic there. Nice. Okay, when we get to the chorus, it's the same chords as the pre-chorus, but I want to switch back to the simple A7 just to give that bit of change, because half the battle in making a simple pop song sound good is how we play it, not what we're playing, but the way we play these chords. The chords aren't complicated. So for the chorus, it's very sparse, it's very empty, there's a lot of space. Mad world. So I would fill that with a little bit of strumming. Mad world. Mad world. And then that'll take us back into the second verse. So I'm not going to play through that all again because we'll do that at the end. let's have a look at where we can do some finger picking. Now, if the chords are enough struggle for you, then stick with the chords. That's absolutely fine. But if we want to get the magical part of this song, for me, is this intro riff. And that is what makes it firmly in the Adventurous category, because it's not actually very straightforward to play. It requires a little bit of practice. But music does, so get used to it. If this is a step too far, stick with the chords. It's really helpful to have someone playing the chords underneath this riff. But those of you who want to have a go, we're going to use an E minor add 9 chord. And I've put that on your chord sheet on the top right hand side. It's under the Adventurous chords. So instead of the normal E minor, I'm going to take the second finger on the E string and take it away, and take the first finger across and join it onto the string where that second finger was. So it's a little tiny bar across 2 strings. So we get this rather crunchy chord. Those of you who've been watching before will know we've used this chord in every breath you take. I can't get the tune for it. So we're going to use that one here. That's going to be our shape that we base this riff on. And it's going to require some finger picking. So our rules for finger picking are thumb on the G, first finger on the C, second finger on the E, third finger on the A. Should put that up in the camera. So turn it around slightly. Each of those fingers then has its home. Thumb, first, second, third. They don't really move from those strings. Now we do move from those strings from time to time, but that is our starting point. And for this riff, I would strongly suggest that's what we do. So I'm going to use my thumb first, and that's going to go with a downward motion, and then my fingers go with an upward motion. So rest them on the side of the strings where they're going to play. We're going to start with this pattern: thumb, third, second. Should be fairly straightforward if you've done finger picking before. And then we're going to do another 3, thumb, first, second. So we get this thumb, third, second, thumb, first, second. If we play those together, you can see we've got the first part of that riff down. Now, training your fingers to do that automatically will take a bit of repetition, so take it really slowly. I'm going to get the tab up so we can see what's going on. Okay, and then I'm going to change the other view to this one. There we go. So we've got those chords back up there. So you can see the tab there. Let's take it really slowly. Switch this to 40 beats per minute, nice and slow. Okay, here we go. And okay, I realised that my camera's dropped off the bottom there. Bear with me a sec. Let's try that. So now you can see my right hand again. So what I'm doing is I'm holding that E minor add 9 chord for all of those first 6 notes. Then I need to shift my left hand down, and I just put my first finger on the 2nd fret of the C string. Here, and I'm going to use my first on the right hand and my second on the right hand, and then move that down to our A7 shape. And then I'm going to use my first finger and my second and third fingers in a nice slow alternating pattern there. So nice and slow. Here we go. 3 and 4 and thumb, third, second, thumb, first, second, first, second, first. Second and third, first, second and third. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you didn't get that the first time round, so do go back and have a look at that. It does come, but it takes a bit of practice. Some of you may find it dropped out really quickly. The second half of the riff is very similar to it. There's a slightly different start and there's a slightly different end. So once we're onto that nice slow alternating bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to start the riff again, but we need to start it early. So my thumb's going to come down on the G, half a beat before the start of the bar. So we get this 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we've got a slightly different note at the end there. So the riff is identical once we're into it, but the last two notes of that third bar is going to be a thumb and a third finger. On your chord sheet, I've actually written on, above the tab and the notes, I've written on the classical guitar fingerings. This is called PMA notation. The P stands for your thumb, don't ask me why. The I is for your index finger, the M is for your middle finger, and the A is for your ring finger. The reasons why they're called those letters go back into the history of music in Italian, but trust me, that's how classical guitarists note it. So P-I-M-A are those fingers, and you should be able to see those notations on just above the standard notation there. That will help you to know which fingers to use. And if you can get that pattern into your head, then it's fairly straightforward then to just repeat it. That early G note at the end of the second bar can catch a few people out. I'm going to play it a little bit quicker so you can hear where that note comes in. So 3 and 4 and... Here it comes. There. Get the notes wrong, Tim. One more time. The second time around, we don't anticipate that note. This time we do. So I find that riff, I found it quite challenging to learn, but it's really satisfying to get that right. When you can just pick up an instrument and give it a strum, you'll get that reaction from folks going, "Oh, I know that song. What's that song?" And they won't expect to hear it played on a ukulele. And I like that reaction. It's a bit like playing the Imperial March on a ukulele. No one expects the ukulele to do dark and mysterious music. Well, it's happening, folks. The real trick in this song is being able to play that riff while singing the chorus, because that riff happens underneath the chorus as well. And that took me most of the time of all. The lyrics come in on beat 4, so the same place where we shift our hand position in the first bar. So we get this... Mad world. Sorry, not on beat 4, on beat 3. So it's before we shift our hands. Get that right in. 3, 4. Mad world. Mad world. And I should have played the second half correctly there as well. That riff there is worth spending some time on, so do so. It is 10 past 10, so we're nearly... That basically is all we need for the song. What you probably noticed when I was playing through the song at the start, the kind of performance-y bit with the reverb turned on, I wasn't always doing strumming, and I wasn't always just doing a simple finger-picked... Or I should say, if I'm finger-picking for the intro and the chorus, I may as well fingerpick for the verse and the pre-chorus, and I would suggest as a bass line just doing our first finger and then second and third fingers in an alternating pattern. You can see that a bit further on in the tab here. I'm just doing first finger, second and third fingers, first finger, second and third fingers, almost all the way through. I'm going to switch back to the other one. So do have a look at the chords, the score, if that's something you want to have a look at. Let's go back to that one. There we go. Because that has all the details on. If you don't want to sing this song, but you still want to play it, the arrangement that's inspired this version is from the good guys over at ukulelehunt.com. They have done a version fairly recently of this song where the melody is picked out from the chords, so you don't need to sing it. It's an instrumental version. You get this. So if that's more up your street and you don't feel like singing it, do check out their arrangement, ukulelehunt.com. That's where I borrowed the riff from. I think it was just a beautiful arrangement, so thanks to those guys. I've simplified the verse and the pre-chorus to, and the chorus itself actually, to match more what the piano plays in the full version of the song, because I always like to sing the song rather than play the melody on the ukulele. But if you'd rather play the melody, then do check out that version. So, I'm going to play through the intro, verse, and pre-chorus and chorus once with the tab, so you can follow along, and then we're going to go back to the beginning and invite my wife up and have a playthrough of the whole song. So, let's adjust the tempo on this one. And of course I've just switched back. There we go. Chords back on the screen. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to put the tempo up to 60 beats per minute. That's fairly slow, but it means you can follow along. We're not going to do the whole song at this speed, don't panic. Make sure that's in the camera. So here we go, from the beginning. On the intro. And verse. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out places, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. I'm going to pause that there, and then let's do the pre-chorus together. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's so very, very mad world. Mad world. Okay. So let's go back to our chords. Alright then guys, so this is a bit of an unusual ukulele song. It's not our that we normally end up doing. Don't worry, we'll do some more of that next time. You could play this song like that. If you listen to the Tears for Fears version, it's very much all around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. It's quite a different style. People have said that the Tears for Fears version is I find it kind of funny, I find it, and then the Gary Jules version is I find it kind of and that's the difference between the two. Other people have said that the Gary Jules version makes you want to jump off a bridge, whereas the Tears for Fears version makes you want to jump off a bridge doing backflips. Whichever version works for you, play it in that style. I like the sad version, just how I feel at the moment, but find the version that resonates with you. Might not be this song, in which case find a different song. Let's do a different one next week. But I'm going to get my wife, we're going to try and play through the whole song. So get yourselves ready, practice those awkward chords. There's one chord I haven't mentioned, that's in the Adventurous chords, and that's this D add 4. When I'm strumming, after I've been doing some finger picking for a while, I tend to move into strumming to build the song up a bit. And I quite like leaving that G string open on some of the D chords. It gives a little bit of a crunch to it. Don't overdo it, but if you want to drop it in from time to time, strum really gently, don't overemphasize that string. It gives you a little bit of extra seasoning. And that E minor add 9 that we use in the riff, we can also use that from time to time as a replacement for the E minor. As always, you can add replacements in, you can actually make it a G add 9 as well. You can even use an E minor 7 occasionally in the pre-chorus, that works for me. So do try out some alternative chords, add a bit of seasoning to your song. So I'm going to go and get Sophia and we're going to sing through this song. Be right back. Okay. Go.
Oh, yes.
So, Sophia's... Oh, I forgot my hat. I forgot my hat again.
Shall I be here?
Yeah, that works well for me. Let's get rid of the close-up video and we are going to play through the song. There's the ukulele for Sophia. I hope there's some of you left watching. I have no idea. You should probably check that. Some of you. Good. Okay, guys. Thanks for sticking with me, or us. This is not your normal ukulele song. I've said that enough. But it works for me. This is kind of reflecting where I am at the moment. So, Sophia's having a go at some of the harmonies. You okay?
Which video is
This one.
that one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They're both there.
Cool. Good.
Okay. So Sophia's going to be playing mostly the simple strummed version of the chords. Yeah?
Yep.
I'm going to be doing the finger-picked version, and we'll try a few harmonies as well. So we're going to do the intro riff twice, just because I like it. It actually only happens once in the Gary Jules version of the song, but it's a really nice way to start the song off. So, if your ukuleles are ready, thanks for supporting us, guys. We'll keep going for this half term. No idea how long lockdown will last, but we'll keep going with these as long as you guys can support me. If you are enjoying these videos and want them to carry on, then do check out the links in the description. They give you a way you can support me making these videos. Or you can just buy me some beer. Okay, here we go. Not too fast. Oh, I need to transition to that one. I'm not with it today, guys. Have you noticed? That's where I meant to be.
Great. Hello.
It's a good job it's live and not pre-recorded, so I can't edit it at all, including that bit where I forgot to turn the microphone on.
Oh no.
Yeah. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression. No expression. Hide my hair, I want to drown my sorrow. No to
ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Need to feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. Find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Mad world. Mad world.
There we go, guys. I think it's an extraordinarily beautiful song, even if it's sad. Deal with it. I hope you've had a good time learning it, even if everyone else listening to you hasn't had much of a good time. But sometimes there is a place for sad music. We've lost the ability to lament in our culture. And next week we're doing ABBA. Maybe. So, guys, thanks for sticking with us. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Chin up. It's a mad world out there, but music will help us get through, and we've got each other. I really look forward to meeting you again sometime after lockdown finishes. See you again next time.